colleague with significant experience on judicial reforms, member of a group of independent lawyers, member of our network, and I will pass the floor to him and ask him to lead our discussion today. Thank you, Gacha. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Keta. I hope you can hear my voice. If there is any problem, please tell me. Okay, thank you everybody for participating in today's discussion. We have a very interesting topic for today. It is about judicial corporatism. And this topic is quite, I would say, very problematic in Georgia, and I think in many countries, particularly in East European countries. But it can also have some implication in West European countries like Italy. And we would like to hear our Italian colleagues talking about this issue, and we would like to share our experience, and we would like to hear from Italian experience and also from other participants here in this seminar, in this webinar. So I'm looking forward for a very interesting discussion of this topic. First of all, let me introduce our speakers. Today we have two speakers from Italy, and they are Gianfranco Giallo, which is currently working as a prosecutor in Rome, dealing with economic crimes and white-collar crime. Formerly, he worked as a prosecutor in Milan and in Brescia, and as a judge in the south of Italy, where he met Maurizio. Okay, he worked in Kosovo from 2007 until 2012, first as a prosecutor with UNMIK and then as a criminal judge with ULEX. Our second speaker is Maurizio Salustro, which is a senior legal advisor with OSCE mission to Serbia, with 41 years of professional experience in the judicial and legal system, including 31 years of experience in Italian judicial system, 31 years of working experience as a judge and a prosecutor in Italy, Kosovo, Iraq, Georgia, and Guatemala. He also worked as an expert of the European Commission for Peer-Based Assessment Mission of the independence and efficiency of Serbian judiciary. So we have two very experienced speakers today. And I would like to, before we start the discussion, I would like to raise some topics that I'm personally interested about. The main topic, as you know, is a judicial corporatism. When you make a search in internet, when you just Google in internet, there's no definition of judicial corporatism available. However, it's possible to find the definition of the corporatism. I mean, there are multiple definitions of the corporatism as such, but as far as I understand, the corporatism is the protection of an interest by a group of individuals of a profession or of a specific social structure. But usually it's a profession, some kind of profession where professionals, they get together to protect their common interest. And sometimes this can be for the value of the profession, but sometimes it can be against the values of the profession. Sometimes it can be some very based on pure interest of members of the group. Though the question is, what is judicial corporatism? What are the forms and manifestations of judicial corporatism? Is it good or is it bad? And why it can be good or why it can be bad? And also the question is, what is the difference between judicial corporatism and judicial resistance from the outside pressures? Where do we find the line between the judicial corporatism and the judicial and fight for judicial independence and the fight for judicial independence? Okay, there are many questions, and we will hear presentations from our Italian colleagues, and then we can proceed with questions and discussions. So thank you very much, and please go ahead. I give the floor to Mr. Who's the first speaker? I just forgot.
Hold on a second. I thought
Okay.
Gianfranco, whose surname is Gallo, would start, but I would like to say a few things. It's not going to be long because I think that corporatism is only one part of the picture. What is important is to understand the overall setup of a judiciary where corporatism can play a negative or positive role. We will see this, but I would like to, and maybe this can integrate with what Gianfranco is going to say afterwards. I would like to briefly go through our experience, the Italian experience, how our system developed. And I think our system is quite peculiar.
So, Maurizio, you start first.
Yes, I will start.
Okay, please.
I'll try to be very quick because, and to give an overview, a quick overview, because I would like to start from beginning of 20th century, but don't be scared. It's gonna be quick. So we started before the First World War with a situation where there was an association of magistrates. You know that in Italy, judges and prosecutors belong to the same body, which is called magistracy, like in France. So there was an association, newly born, and the Minister of Justice addressed the association, underlying two dangers of the association, as he put it: equality among associates, among members of the association, while the judiciary was hierarchical. So for him, having a newly appointed judge speaking like a peer to president of the Court of Cassation would, in a way, infringe the authority of the cassation judge. The second problematic issue was, in his view, the combativeness or bellicosity, if you want to put it like that, of any association, because association means to put strength together and fight for a common goal. So in 1925, during fascism, the association was disbanded and the leaders were expelled from the judiciary. Then we had the Second World War and the post-war process, during which our constitution was drafted and entered into force. And among the constitutional values, we have the rights of people and freedoms. So principle of equality was introduced, personal dignity, fundamental rights and freedoms, and social rights, and so on. These values became guiding principles for the judicial interpretation of laws. And also, another important thing was the introduction of equality of judges, magistrates, among themselves. And this had an impact on the independence of the entire judiciary. Then we had another period of time, 60s and 70s, and there was the association, which was reinstated, Association of Judges, fought against careers and careerism. They opposed the internal exams that were kind of obstacles for judges' careers, and they were managed by the so-called high judiciary. So there was this idea of distinction between high judiciary and low judiciary. The association fought against this idea, and provocatively, they promoted the use of you as in Italian. When we use the singular second person, it's a kind of intimate relation, addressing. And so they promoted the use of this pronoun among colleagues and of all ranks and levels. Equality among judges was seen, and it was a condition for their internal independence. And it implies the exclusion of any type of career which was incompatible with the independence. So the formula that was used was that judges, magistrates should live with no hope or fear. Not aim at any advancement or benefits, but they should not fear any sanction.
მოსამართლემ არ შეიძლება არანაირი სხვა ანაზღაურება მიიღოს თუ არა ხელფასი მისი სამოსამართლო საქმიანობისთვის და ამასთანავე სამაგიეროდ მოსამართლეს საერთოდ ვერავინ ამ ქვეყანაზე ვერაფერს ვერ უბრძანებს და ვერავინ ვერ ჩაერევა.
Judges should live isolated, not only from society, but also from their own callings.
მაშინ იყო ეს პრინციპი, რომ მოსამართლეები უნდა იყვნენ იზოლირებული არა მარტო საზოგადოებისგან, არამედ საკუთარი კოლეგებისგან. დაუშვებელი იყო ყოველგვარი აი მოსამართლის გადაწყვეტილების კრიტიკა. აი საუკეთესო მოდელი შეგიძლიათ წარმოვიდგინოთ. აი რაღაცა ბიუროკრატი მოსამართლე, კანონის რუპორი. მაგრამ ეს სისტემაში ამის შემდეგ კიდევ შეიცვალა, კიდევ ერთხელ შეიცვალა. ზოგიერთი იყო ისევ აი ამ ძველი სისტემის მომხრე, მაგრამ ნუ ესე ვთქვათ, ანუ კონსტიტუციაში იყო ეს თანასწორობის პრინციპი, მაგრამ მისი აღსრულება არ ხდებოდა ფაქტიურად და დაიწყო მისი აღსრულება.
But the existing legislation at the time was still widely of fascist origin. So
ფაშისტები კი დამარცხდნენ იტალიაში, მაგრამ კანონმდებლობა მაინც დარჩა ფაშისტური. ფაშისტების მიერ მიღებული კანონმდებლობა. ამიტომ საჭირო იყო ამ კანონმდებლობის რევიზია. და ეს ძველი იმიჯი, რომ მოსამართლე არის კანონის რუპორი და რაღაცა იზოლირებული, რაღაცა პედესტალზე მყოფი პიროვნება, ეს მოძველდა, თუ შეიძლება ისე ვთქვათ. და დაიწყო საზოგადოებაში განხილვა, როგორი უნდა იყოს მოსამართლე და პროკურორის როლი. ამის შემდეგ რა მოხდა?
During this period, I want to underline that during this period, 60s and 70s,
ამ პერიოდის განმავლობაში საუბარი არის 1960-70-იანი წლები, ასოციაციამ უკვე დაიწყო აქტიური როლის თამაში.
Things that I said. But
ტარდებოდა ეს მოსამართლეთა გამოცდები
towards corporativism and
მაგრამ აი სწორედ ამ დროს აი დაიწყო აი ეს ეგრეთ წოდებული კორპორატივიზმი. ანუ აი ჯგუფების ფორმირება სასამართლო ხელისუფლების შიგნით, უბრალოდ არსებობდნენ ეს ჯგუფები უკვე სასამართლო ხელისუფლების შიგნით. პოლიტიკურ და ინსტიტუციურ კრიზისთან ერთად ასე ვთქვათ დაამთავრდა ეს ეგრეთ წოდებული პირველი რესპუბლიკა.
And the role of the groups inside of the association.
ესე იგი ჩვენ გვქონდა ეს ასოციაცია და ამ ასოციაციაში იყვნენ ეს აღნიშნული ჯგუფები, კორპორატივიზმით შეპყრობილი ჯგუფები, მაგრამ მათ ნელ-ნელა თავიანთი როლი დაკარგეს.
Where single judges would see a place where to be protected and promoted in their
ამ დროს უფრო დაიწყო ინდივიდუალური მოსამართლის დამოუკიდებლობის გაძლიერება და ეგ ეს შეიძლება თქვათ რომ აი ნეოკორპორატივიზმი დაიწყო. ანუ რაღაც გარკვეულწილად დაბრუნდა ეს იერარქიული მოწყობა.
The association and the election of the members of the high judiciary
იყო ესე ვთქვათ აი კავშირები სასამართლოს არსებობდა კავშირები მოსამართლებსა და მოსამართლეთა დამნიშნელ ორგანოს შორის. ანუ ხდებოდა კარიერის თაობას გადაწყვეტილების მიღება აი ამ ვიწრო ჯგუფში დანიშნვის შესახებ, ანუ ყველაფერი წინასწარ განსაზღვრული იყო და ანუ ყველაფერი ეს იდეა რაც ჩაიწერა კონსტიტუციაში ფაქტობრივად ძირი გამოეცალა რეალურად პრაქტიკაში.
Evolution of the system. Many people and I agree.
ანუ ეს იყო ის პერიოდი, როდესაც ფაქტობრივად უკუღმა განვითარება, დეგრადაცია მოხდა პირიქით სისტემის და აი მაშინ ესე ვთქვათ გარკვეული ადამიანები წინ გამოვიდნენ თქვენს რომ აი ამ მოსამართლეები და თქვენს რომ აი რაღაცა ჩვენ უნდა ვიბრძოლოთ კულტურული აი ამ მენტალობის შესაცვლელად.
Exercise of jurisdiction. In other words, one should be proud of being a good judge or a good prosecutor and not too much.
ჩვენ უნდა ვამაყობდეთ იმით, რომ კარგი მოსამართლე ვარ, კარგი პროკურორი ვარ და არა დავუშვათ, რომ ძალაუფლება მაქვს.
His or her inverted
ისე, ანუ გაგება უნდა შეცვლილიყო, რომლის თანახმადაც მოდი მე უფროს მოვაწონებ თავს და ამითი, ანუ ნაცვლად იმისა, რომ უფროს მოვაწონო თავი და ამითი გავხდე რაღაცა კარგი თანამშრომელი, მიუხედავად იმისა, რომ მოსამართლე ვარ, მაინც კარგი თანამშრომელი. და ნაცვლად ამისა შეიცვალა იმ მიდგომით, რომ ესე იგი, მოდი მე ვიქნები კარგი მოსამართლე, ან კარგი პროკურორი და ამით მოვიწონებ თავს და არა იმით, რომ ვიღაცის დამოუკიდებლობაში კარგად ვიქცევი. ეს ყველაფერი კიდევ ერთხელ ჩვენ გვაბრუნებს კონსტიტუციასთან. კონსტიტუცია ასრულებს როგორც ზღვაში შუქურის როლს. და ეს ძალიან მნიშვნელოვანია, რომ აი კონსტიტუცია შეასრულოს აი ძირითადი ღირებულების ორიენტირის როლი. აი მე მინდოდა ესე ვთქვათ ისტორიული პრეკურსი, წინა ისტორია მომეყოლა და ჯანფრანკოს გადავცემ სიტყვას. თუ შეიძლება ვიდრე ჯანფრანკოს მივცემ სიტყვას, მე მინდა ჩაგიკითხოთ ერთ საკითხთან დაკავშირებით. თქვენ აღნიშნეთ, რომ
were playing the progressive role, and then they somehow this changed, and it was like they became a power sharing institution or negotiating power between judges and some kind of corporate interests.
თქვენ აღნიშნეთ, რომ ასოციაციაში ხდებოდა ეს კორპორატიული ინტერესების ლობირება. კითხვა მაქვს ასეთი.
Or now, does it promote judicial integrity and
სასამართლო კორპორატივიზმი იტალიაში ადრე ან ეხლა ხელს ხო უწყობს სასამართლოს დამოუკიდებლობას? ანუ ეს კორპორატივიზმი ისე ხო არ
prestige among their colleagues, and more effective judges, more efficient judges, they get better positions, they are promoted. So does the corporation promote the values like independence, integrity, competence, and efficiency, so that people who are independent, efficient, competent. They get promoted, and they are valued. That's my question.
Sorry. Yes, this is a crucial question. My answer is yes and no. Some of the members of the association would say, yes, this is what we want, but the final result, in my opinion, and this is only my personal opinion, my answer is no. The precondition to get promoted, but then what does it mean promoted? To move to a managerial position, is it a promotion or what?
Just to go to Court of Appeal, a Court Cassation. Court of Cassation.
This is, you know, we have this principle that judges differ only based on the functions, meaning it's written nowhere that the Court of Cassation has more, a judge of the Court of Cassation has more value of a first instance than a first instance judge. They need different abilities, different competencies, because at the Court of Cassation, you don't assess evidence, you just deal with legal issues. So, of course, you need different competencies, but it's written nowhere that a judge of cassation is better than a first instance judge. And I strongly believe that it is so. When I entered the judiciary now back in the beginning of the 80s, one old colleague told me, judges at the Court of Cassation are like us, a bit older and a bit, you know, with not mental, but memory problems, weaker in their functioning, mental functioning. Okay, this was a joke. But going back to the important question that you put, if the association promotes, recently the association was shaken by some scandals because of the role played by groups. The association as such is not enough. I never joined any group. I was just the member of the association. But sometimes this is not enough, because if someone happens against you, if someone moves an accusation against you, and you are not the member of any group, then nobody cares about you. You are disposable, so to speak.
And isolated.
I think we should isolated and
isolated.
Isolated and consequently disposable. So this is what I think. I think we should go back to the first period when the groups and the association played a very progressive role, when they broke this kind of caste that was the judiciary that would protect the interests of the leading class. But this is my opinion.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Gianfranco, the floor is yours.
First of all, I have to say that I'm very happy that Maurizio spoke first, because I'm not at ease to be the first speaker if Maurizio is around. I want him to be the first speaker, and then I can be the second speaker. Okay, but that's of course a joke. That is of course a joke. Maurizio told you about the history of the Italian magistrates. Maybe I can give you some. I don't see anybody anymore. I just see a black screen.
Oh, we are all here.
Okay. Now I see. Okay, but as long as you can hear my voice, that's fine.
Yeah.
For instance, I was saying, Maurizio talk about the history, talk about principles. I can maybe explain to you how things worked in the 70s, in the 80s, until the late 90s. The progression in career was just linked to seniority, okay? So this was a system which had its weak points, but the very good point was that, I mean, nobody had to fight in order to get a position, because if you were competing for the position, I don't know, of prosecutor in Rome, and if you were the most senior, you were the one who got the position. And that, in my opinion, was a good system, because it's very difficult to assess the performance of a judge and of a prosecutor. It's difficult to understand whether I am better than Maurizio or whether Maurizio is better than me if we are working in the same court. And so through seniority, it was, I mean, how can I say? There was no need for competition, and this was good because there were not envies, and also people were not trying to get the position in an unfair way. For instance, Maurizio was talking about the scandals which shaken the association recently, and it came out through interceptions that all the magistrates were, I mean, some or many magistrates were trying to get the position through lobbying because they belonged to one of these groups which compose the association. And so through this lobbying, they could get a position, because then their performance was assessed better than the performance of another judge or of another prosecutor, and so they could get the position, because now seniority doesn't count anymore. So, just in a nutshell, a judge or a prosecutor who wants to get the position of chief judge in Rome or chief prosecutor in Rome can overcome a colleague who is more senior than him through this system of lobbying. And this fact has created many problems, because of course, if you get the position in let's say in an unfair way, then you have to give back the favor, of course. So you lack, I mean, you are not that independent anymore, of course, because I mean, if you got the position just because of your seniority, you don't have to say thanks to anybody. I don't know whether I made myself clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now the system which is in force is a system linked to the merit, to the so-called merit. But it's basically, I mean, it's more or less impossible to assess how is the performance of a judge or of a prosecutor, because if you just take in consideration statistics, okay, so you just see, okay, a prosecutor concluded 100 cases, another prosecutor concluded just 30 cases. So apparently the best is the one who concluded 100 cases. Okay, but what about these 100 cases? Maybe they are just petty crimes, and the other one has worked on 30 big, complicated cases, white-collar crimes. So it's impossible to judge. Okay, then let's judge the performance. Let's evaluate the performance of a prosecutor on the basis of the sentence. So if the if the defendant was acquitted or whether he was convicted. It's not a good system because, of course, the judgment can be wrong. So this is not a good system. And now they're talking about evaluating the performance of the prosecutor on the basis of the number of convictions that you get, assuming that the judge never makes mistakes, which is crazy, of course, which is just crazy. So in my opinion, a fair system of evaluation of the performance, which in my opinion must be based mostly on seniority and on specific seniority. For instance, if I wanted to compete for the position of chief prosecutor in Palermo, I need to have a great experience about organized crimes. Okay, I don't know whether I made myself clear. So if two good prosecutors are competing, one who has a great experience in economic crimes, and another one who has a great experience in associated crimes, in organized crimes, of course, the one who has the specific experience and seniority must be the one who is chosen. So when we talk about seniority, it must be seniority together with the specific experience. But just the merit, I mean, if you just evaluate the merit on the basis of statistics and of the so-called results, you cannot have a good evaluation of the performance of the judge and of the prosecutor. Furthermore, Maurizio was saying there is no difference between a Supreme Court judge and a first instance judge. That is true, but now the competition is not for the position of Supreme Court of second instance judge. The competition is for the managerial positions. So the tough competition is for the position of chief judge in Rome, in Milan, in Verona, in each court, because that is a position of power. And even greater power is given by the position of prosecutor, of chief prosecutor. Because of course, since the impulse for the criminal prosecution comes from the prosecutor, the role of the prosecutor's office is crucial. So the tough competition is for such positions. Okay. And yes, then I agree with what Maurizio was saying. For instance, the same as Maurizio, I didn't join any group. So I'm completely isolated, as Maurizio was saying. If I'm going to compete for a managerial position, it is very likely that I won't get that position because I have nobody behind me. And this has an impact on the internal independence of the judiciary, because there is the external independence, meaning the judiciary must be independent in respect to the other two powers, okay? So the executive powers and the legislative power. But then there is the issue of the internal independence. So if I belong to a group, and if I aim at a specific position, and if I know that my group can help me, then I will try to be compliant with the members of my group. I don't know whether I made myself clear. And these are,
yes, we have a similar situation. We have a similar problem.
And of course, this has an impact on your independence. So this is an additional problem. So if we could go back to seniority as, I mean, a criterion in order to choose judges and prosecutors for the managerial positions, it would be a great thing, but I mean, surely it won't happen. Surely it won't happen. Okay. That's all from me.
I think Maurizio wants to add something, and then we'll proceed.
Yes, I wanted to add to what Gianfranco said, which actually supplement what I tried to say at the beginning, during the introduction. This idea because now I am retired. My first job is to be a basketball player now, but you know, I worked and I still work from time to time as a consultant. So in several countries, and mainly Eastern European countries, I had to deal with the system of assessment, evaluation of judges and prosecutors. And one always faces this idea to measure quality through quantity, which is impossible, as Gianfranco said. It's impossible, simply impossible. Another idea which I saw very often is to count and consider the number of decisions reversed, which is also very dangerous because it could lead to the assessment of the merits of a decision. But a judge and also a prosecutor in his actions should be free from fear to be scrutinized depending on the decision that he made. We all make mistakes. You cannot keep a judge under fear to make a mistake when interpreting the law. This is not possible, because otherwise you will have a very, obedient judiciary that would follow just the Supreme Court jurisprudence, and that's it. But what is important to our discussion on corporatism is that corporatism might pop up or come back each time the conditions allow. If the assessment of performance assessment of judges and prosecutors is such as Gianfranco described, then there is space for corporatism. And if there is no strong cultural environment and resistance, it will come up again. Why I tried to establish a parallel between the involvement of the judiciary and the political environment. And I referred to the crisis that we faced at the beginning of the 90s, because I think that culture that we had during the 60s and 70s through the association and groups came to an end with those people. The same, the political environment in our country came to an end with the end of those old politicians who came from the fight against Nazis, resistance, the one who really believed in the values of the Constitution. Some of them even drafted the Constitution. So when this cultural shield fades away, then there is space for corporatism. And very briefly, I want to add something. For us, the Constitution was very important, and in my opinion, can still be important if we are able to go back to those values. But in other countries, I didn't see, and that's why I said at the beginning, our experience is quite peculiar, because in other countries where I worked, I didn't see the same long and suffered process to get to a constitution. I worked in a country where a constitution was approved in 16 hours. drafted and approved in 16 hours. How can it be a lighthouse for the country and for the entire system? Something that was drafted in 16 hours and maybe even suggested by some other countries that wanted to play a role in that small country. And to be frank and outspoken, since you know that my wife is Georgian, and I have a special tie with Georgia, not only because of my wife, but also because I work there, I have many friends, and I really care. I think you are in a difficult geopolitical position because we were and we still are, we have been from the end of the Second World War and still are under the wing of the Americans. But we have no border with the Americans. So we had a chance to develop something, if not independent, at least autonomous in foreign policy. You are in a much more difficult position because you border Russia and you very well know what happened in 2008. So I'm afraid this is gonna weigh on the developments that you are doing. I'm sorry if I say this, but you know that I really
This is absolutely right what you say, Maurizio, because if you go out in Tbilisi right now, you will hear a lot of words about Russia. It's like no to Russia, no to Russian laws, and so on and so on. So there's a lot of Russia in, you know, it's in negative context. I mean, of course, in the protest demonstration. Now, thank you very much, dear presenters. And I think that I should tell something about the Georgian context. And then we can discuss this, make some comparisons, or maybe ask you some questions about what is your opinion about Georgian case. And then we can ask questions to our speakers. So I will just very briefly try to explain the Georgian context. In Georgia, we have approximately 340 judges. Those judges were appointed for 10 years under previous government, and then their term of office expired. Almost everyone's term of office expired after the Georgian Dream came to the power. So, and the Georgian Dream was saying that we would like to clear the judiciary from the disreputed judges, and these were political statements. Then they say we would like to clear the judges. We would like to get rid of the old, you know, the judges with a bad reputation who were executing orders of the previous government, and we're going to fire those judges. We're going to maybe arrest some of them, and you know, and then the judges they became some kind of an entity which was striving for collective survival. And this is I think this is a key term, to use the term collective survival. And I mean, the judges, they got together, they say, how can we survive collectively? Because the government is threatening some of us, or maybe the government is threatening all of us. We don't know. But who is going to survive, who's not going to survive, we don't know. So there were two associations by the time in 2013. The two associations were created. One association, the big one, I mean, the big one was the Association of Judges, and there was a small association of judges, like approximately 40 judges, 30, 40 judges. So the big association, the big group was influenced by the old elite, and they were telling the judges, would you like to survive? Would you like to be reappointed? Would you like to be promoted? Would you like to get rid of disciplinary prosecution? Would you like to be immune from criminal prosecution? So we're going to take care of all of that if you vote for us. So if you vote for us, you're going to be reappointed, you're going to be promoted, you're not going to be prosecuted, and so on. So this big group, I mean, the elite judges, they won the self-government elections in 2013. They won the elections, and so they packed the High Council of Justice, the judicial quota of the High Council of Justice. They packed the judicial quota, and then they said that we are going to reappoint all our friends, and we're going to get rid of all our enemies. Now, who is our friend? Who is our friend? Our friends are the judges who are loyal to the common cause, which is like, you know, what is the common cause? The common cause is to get rid of all prosecution from the government. The common cause is to get reappointed. The common cause is to get promoted and to get rid of, you know, any disciplinary liability and things like that. So these are all everybody who is loyal to us will be our friend, but everybody who does not agree with us is not going to be reappointed. So he's going to be out of the system. So, and by this time we have introduced a system of probation period for 3 years. It was also additional filter for judges. So what happened? What were the consequences? What were the consequences? The consequences was that they have appointed the judges who were mostly loyal to the group, elite group of judges. They got rid of approximately 10 or 15 judges who were not loyal to the group. And they promoted the judges who were loyal to the clan, like the elite group of the corporation. So they got the best positions. And why? I mean, this is quite reasonable because you are our friend, so you are a friend of the corporation. So what can you bring as a share? What is your share to the corporation? You have a good share because you can give us the votes. You can bring us votes. You can come to the judicial conference and you can say good words about our judiciary. You can collect votes. You can collect votes. So you're your friend. And in some cases, you can also take a political case and you can make a political decision in favor of the government, because we need to give some price to the Georgian dream, the government, which is a new government. We need to give some price. And what is the price? What price we have to pay? We have to pay the price on the political cases, on high profile cases, on high financial cases. We have to pay the price. But if you want to survive as a corporation, we need to pay the price to the political government. So we are going to promote our judges who are ready to take some orders, some political orders from the government. We're going to promote them. So this is how they created some kind of culture of internal obedience. So what were the consequences? Let's talk about consequences. The consequence was that the judicial system was locked from the outsiders. But if you take a look at the judiciary now, approximately 120 new judges came to the system after 2013. 120 new judges. Who are they? They are majority, like 80%, 85%, they are judicial assistants. Judicial assistants. Why? Because judicial assistants have the reputation, judicial assistants have been filtered, have been screened by the judges, and they are well tested. They are loyal to the internal organizational culture. They are loyal to the internal organizational culture. Now, let's look another consequence. Who was appointed in the Supreme Court? Let's say after 2017, the power to appoint judges in the Supreme Court was transferred from the president to the High Council of Justice to nominate. Was transferred from the president of Georgia to High Council of Justice after 2017. And the mandate of all judges have expired. And who was appointed as a judge? 95% they were appointed as judges, elite judges, who were loyal to the clan, 95%. I mean, from the former judges who were loyal to this internal organizational structure. Okay, and I think I'm going to just a couple of more interesting scenarios, and I'll finish this one. So judiciary now has, and the corporation now has a gatekeeping function. The gatekeeping function. They are keeping very strict control about who is entering judiciary. And usually, if you are a lawyer, you cannot be appointed as a judge. You cannot be appointed as a student of High Council of Justice if you are just a lawyer. You, as a rule, you have to be a law clerk, and you have to serve in the judicial system for some time, and to prove that you are loyal to the organizational culture. You're loyal to the organizational culture. What else? And the problem is also the problem is also the nepotism. Nepotism is also a problem, because do you want your cousin to be appointed as a judge? Okay, let's discuss it. Come and let's discuss it. We will have your cousin appointed as a judge, but you have to bring some kind of a value to the corporation. So there are a lot of cousins, a lot of husbands and wives, a lot of relatives in the judicial system by now, because they consider judiciary as some kind of internal kitchen. Some of them, they consider judiciary as their kitchen, and they have the right to govern the kitchen. Basically, what happens as a final consequence, I would say, this is just probably my evaluation. They create some kind of the organizational culture of loyalty, the loyalty to the elite group of judges, and the loyalty to the government of Georgian Dream. And the judge is considering himself, and judge who is appointed for life, then most of the judges are now appointed for life, they consider themselves as somehow they are in debt with this group, or they are in debt with the government. And when they take decisions on high-profile cases, on high financial interest cases, this is something that is affecting the outcomes of the case. There can be no external communication with the judge, no ex parte communication, but the judge himself may be inclined in favor of the government, because the government is protecting the judge right now. The judges, they get political protection, they get support from the Georgian Dream, all kinds of support they get from the Georgian Dream. And I will just, as a final point, we had 4 judges sanctioned by the United States government about a couple of years ago, or I think last year. 4 judges, one of 3 acting judges, and one former judge, and they were sanctioned because of involvement in the corruption and abuse of power. And who are they? Who are these judges? These judges are the leaders of the clan. They are the leaders of this clan. And then the opposition, and we have requested the creation of investigative commission against those judges, but the parliament has blocked. The majority party, the ruling party, has blocked this initiative. Now, the European Union is recommending the vetting process, because there are signs of corruption, abuse of power, and illegal enrichment in the judiciary. And the European Union is asking for vetting inside judiciary. And look, who is against the vetting? The Georgian Dream is categorically opposed to the vetting, and judges are majority of judges, they are categorically opposed to the vetting. So that's where we are. I think there are lots of other questions, but there's lots of other details, but I'll stop here and just have participants, please go ahead. You may ask questions and make comments.
But do you want us to say something, or shall we wait for?
I think we better wait for questions first. I mean, if there are questions from the audience, and then the speakers.
Absolutely.
May I ask couple questions if there is no?
Yes, of course. Eka, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the introductions you made. It was interesting to listen different context and experiences. I have one question to clarify, and the other one would be also a small question. As a clarification, Gianfranco mentioned that something, please, I apologize if I make mistake and correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understood, you mentioned that you don't belong to any of the groups.
You understood correctly. You understood correctly. That's right.
You would not be promoted. Is that
no,
correct?
Maybe I didn't express myself properly. I mean that if you belong to one of these groups, your chances. I was not talking about the promotion. Okay, mm-hmm. So let's clarify this. There are levels in the Italian career as a judge and as a prosecutor. When Maurizio was working, there were not levels, but they wanted us to become more bureaucrats. So it was just in order to humiliate us. Okay, so before there were names. After I think 13 years, you became counselor. Am I correct, Maurizio?
No, there were
after 13 years of seniority. I mean, your qualification was counselor, consigliere di corte d'appello. Okay.
No,
then when magistrate. No. When you started. But
when I started, I was apprenticeship uditore, no?
No, absolutely. But I mean, after 13 years of seniority.
13 or 30?
13 years. Huh?
No,
we got the qualification of counselor. Then after 20, Supreme Court judge, even though you were not working at the Supreme Court.
Yes, I know what you mean. So after I think it was 10 or 13.
I think it was 13.
Yes,
13,
you would become
20.
Yes, you would become judge of tribunal.
Second distance, let's say. Second distance.
No. First tribunal judge.
Tribunal, but not after 13. Not after 13.
No.
After 3.
After 3. You
then
would
13.
Yes.
And then 20 Supreme Court judge.
Then Court of Appeal judge, and then Supreme
Court
of Cassation judge.
After 20 years. Now there are levels. Yes. First level, second level, third level.
That's it. Yes,
but up to the 7th level. Okay.
Yeah, I know, but before this had an impact only on the salary. Well, actually, salary was updated every couple of years, and then when you would move to the higher position, not position, but qualification. Mm-hmm. And it was what was very important is before you could be as a qualification Court of Cassation judge and work at the first instance. So one was the qualification, and the other one was the function, meaning I am a colonel, but I work, I lead a company or a platoon, which is not the role of a colonel. Okay, so this was, but now it's different. Yes, now it's completely different.
So Ika, just to go back to your question, so through seniority, okay, you go on through these levels: first level, second level, third level, fourth level, up to the 7th level. Okay, is that clear?
Yes.
And every 2 levels, your salary increases. Okay.
So it's something like automatic promotion.
Automatic.
So
it's not exactly a promotion, but
almost.
It's a progression. Let's call it a progression. This is one point. This is the economic side, which is more or less the same for everybody. So through seniority, you you progress in career, in the economic career.
So
Okay.
what exactly do you mean when you say you don't belong to either groups? And what effect it has in your work life?
These groups, how can I say, they are associations, okay? I think they started, as Maurizio said, in the 70s. And when they started, it was an association of judges and prosecutors which wanted to share the same ideology, more or less, okay? More or less.
How many are they approximately? Like, to have an idea.
Frankly speaking, I don't know. We are more or less 10,000 magistrates, okay, in Italy. I think that at least the 70% of the Italian magistrates is linked to one group, okay, more or less. I mean, this is a rough calculation, okay. The point is that these groups, more or less, decide who is going to be appointed in the High Judicial Council. Okay.
Sorry, do you have elections? Elections like everybody's voting for several candidates?
Yes. For the
Okay,
you mean for the High Judicial
Council? Yeah,
Yes.
you need to be.
Yes.
So you have to be
Yes.
lobbied by the group to
Absolutely.
obtain majority vote.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's it. I mean, you summed it up perfectly. I mean, you need
But
to
the
be
difference,
lobbied.
but the difference with the Georgian case is that in Georgia we don't have competition. There is only one candidate
No.
proposed by. No, it's not legally. I mean, factually. In our factual scenario in Georgia is that for example, last year we have elections, and previously we had elections, and there is only one candidate. There's no competition for one vacancy. There's one candidate for one vacancy, and majority of judges, they vote for one candidate.
No.
Yes.
In Italy, there is a competition, but if you are not lobbied, you cannot win. You just cannot win. Okay. And then the members of the High Judicial Council choose who is going to get the position of chief prosecutor in Rome, chief prosecutors in Naples, chief prosecutor in Milan, or chief of the court in Milan. So these are, I mean, the most important positions that everybody would like to get. So if you want to get such positions, you need to join one of these groups. And if you don't, unless you are outstanding, but I'm talking about, I don't know whether you remember Falcone.
Not even, because Falcone lost.
Not even. He didn't make it. He didn't make it.
He didn't
make it. Yeah, Maurizio is absolutely right. Even Falcone, who was considered by far the best prosecutor in Italy, he couldn't get the position of chief prosecutor in Palermo.
But is it formal or informal setting that if you are not a member, then you are not elected? Is it formally so?
No, of course,
it's not formal.
Okay, Maurizio, you go ahead, Maurizio.
Sorry, it's not formal, but you have to imagine like a parliament. No, in the parliament you have several parties, okay, political parties. If you want to pass a law and there is no majority, then you have to make a deal with another party. It's the same story. And it's not only for managerial positions. It's also, I work in Venice, but I'm from Rome. And I want to go to Rome desperately because it's my city. So if I belong to a group, I would go to this guy and say, listen, I applied for this position, please help me because there are 20 competitors. So let's find a way. So this is all informal, but this is how it works. That's the problem, you know.
But then
did I explain it correctly, Gianfranco?
Yeah. So
absolutely, that's true. Absolutely.
Related to this question, why did you choose not to be a member?
Because in my opinion, it is incompatible with the ethics of a magistrate. Since these groups are not anymore ideological groups, but they have just become the tools in order to get positions. You know what I mean? I find it incompatible. And of course, you pay the price because, for instance, I completely isolated. I was competing for the position of, you know, there is this EPPO, this European, the European Prosecutor's Office. Okay, there were 3 positions in Rome. I applied. In my opinion, my CV was okay. It's not good to speak about myself, but you know, it was better than the others. And by magic, there were 3 positions, and I was listed 4th. Okay. In my opinion, at least 2 colleagues, which were who were ahead of me, I mean, didn't have a CV which was better than mine. They had never worked abroad. In my opinion, their language skills were not that good. In my opinion, it was completely unfair. Okay.
Gianfranco, we don't want you to violate the rules of ethics now because this is a public discussion.
So I think I can be mistaken that if I had joined a group, I think that I would have won the competition. I think,
because you know, if you don't belong to any group, you have no insight in the High Judicial Council. You don't know to whom you could speak and explain your point, your case.
But
you have no access.
But even though you find somebody and you explain your position to somebody, they are going to promote the people who belong to the group. So even though you are better than these other people, they have to promote the people who belong to the group, and that's it. And for instance, there was a sort of scandal because I don't remember the position these colleagues were competing for, but there was an email and it was sent by mistake. And one of the members of the High Judicial Council said, it wasn't a fair competition. We appointed this colleague, whereas we should have appointed another one who was by far the best, but the one who was appointed belonged to our group, and that was it. So, and it was a scandal. It was a scandal. But this is
two questions. No,
okay.
I see hands raised, and let me ask another question if we have still time. So
yeah, we do have time. Yeah, we do have time.
Please
go ahead, Eka.
Well, okay. Another thing I wanted to ask is, I see everything that you talked about was basically inside stories, and if these groups of judges thing and corporatism, are they open to for example, lawyers from outside the court system or the prosecutorial system?
I mean, you cannot be a member of a group unless you are a magistrate.
Yeah, okay. I mean, when they make decisions regarding, yes, I see. It's about system of appointment. If I don't know exactly how it works in Italy, but it must be like High Council of Justice appointing, right?
And do you have a school which is mandatory? School which is mandatory.
Yeah, yes, more or less. Yes. But first, I mean, you need to win the national competition. Okay. Then there is a period of 1 year and a half where you are a sort of senior judge or a junior judge or junior prosecutor, and then you start working. Okay.
But as I understand the question of Eka, she's asking that if you are a lawyer, as like a good lawyer, what is the chance that you can get in the school and you can become a judge?
No, not
just
chance. I mean, you need you need to win at the national competition. You need to win the national competition.
Which is outside the court system.
Wait a minute. The school is for in-service judges.
Exactly.
It's not
okay.
The judiciary. It's not an entry point. It's
Exactly.
a school for judges.
Okay.
Okay. Of course, in the High Judicial Council, not all the members are judges. So if you are a lawyer and you want to become the member of the High Judicial Council, you need to find a political party who will support you. And when they vote for the appointment in the parliament, you will be appointed. So
the judges are appointed by parliament?
No.
1/3.
There are
1/3.
One quote, yes, one quote belongs to the judiciary, and the parliament has no say. Another quote belongs to the parliament, and the judiciary has no say.
I see.
And then there is if I remember properly, another share.
Yes.
They're appointed by the president of the republic.
Of course, president of the republic. Yes.
So it's a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. I think more or less.
Okay, that's interesting. Please, now we have hands raised. Please, Keta, and then please, Vladislav.
First of all, thank you very much, Maurizio and Gianfranco, for this very interesting and significant discussion. It was very interesting to hear your opinion and experience. I have a question, if it is possible to list the 3 main top negative effects of corporatism in Italy. Just we have a lot of it, but to if it's possible to say that if we have these 3 signs, these 3 topics, then this corporatism has negative effect, and we can say that we detected corporatism in judiciary.
So, Maurizio, do you?
Corporatism itself is a negative issue, in my opinion, because association is okay, cultural debate is okay, but when it comes to corporatism, then we are already in the pathology. The signs are, in my opinion, this power sharing attitude, and also the attitude to defend each and every decision, meaning blocking all criticism against judicial decisions or initiatives from the prosecution. These are, in my opinion, the signs. Basically these 2. I don't.
Interesting. Thank you very much. Okay, Vladislav.
Good evening and greetings from Moldova. I understand from your interventions that it was not always like that in Italy.
True, that's true.
Yeah, you're right.
And we are much smaller than Italy. We don't have 50,000 magistrates in our country. In Moldova, I think we have 1.5 thousand. Basically, everyone knows everyone, even less than that. What shall we do in order to avoid ending up in your situation? And I must admit, we don't yet have the corporatism in the system, mostly due to a deep reshufflement of the system in the latest 2-3 years. That's first. And second, well, it took me by surprise, I must admit, basically what you said is that nowadays your judicial council cannot ensure a merit-based appointments in the judiciary, in the senior positions, for some vested interests. I'm just wondering why it is possible to have it in the UK and it is not possible to have it in Italy. Like appointments to the Supreme Court of the UK, I don't think that there were any doubts about the merit-based appointment to the Supreme Court of the UK. And now I think that there are probably many rumors on promotions of the judges through your legal system. Why is that the judges that should be probably the ettalon of correctness don't do it when it comes to their peers in the career?
Okay, thank you. That's it, Vladislav.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have Mariam Ghibradze. Mariam.
Hello. First of all, thank you. That was very interesting. So I have one question. Mr. Maurizio had mentioned that if there is no good environment in the country, it is more likely that corporatism will come back. So my question is, how can a country maintain the kind of good environment? Like, how can a country prevent itself from going into that hole again? Like, what is the defense mechanism for a country?
Thank you, Mariam. Before the speakers, before I give the floor to the speakers, I would like to also add some questions, some more questions, and also ask you to comment or to express your ideas about how do we solve the Georgian, how do we improve the Georgian situation. But first of all, let me ask you some specific questions. My first question is about, do judges in Italy care about their public reputation? And do associations or High Council of Justice care about public reputation of the judicial nominations? For example, let's say Maurizio is a judge with a very high public reputation. The public is crazy about Maurizio. So do we?
It has never happened. It has never happened. Never.
No. This is just an assumption. I'm
joking. Of course, I'm joking.
I'm just making I'm just making a case, making up a case.
I'm joking.
So let's suppose Maurizio has a very big public reputation, and the public likes him as a most most independent judge who is fighting against organized crime, who is honest, who is absolutely resistant to any kind of pressures, and the public is crazy about Maurizio. So do we care about him appointed on a high profile, on a high position, so that he can promote the reputation of the judiciary? For example, to him appointed in a very key position, so that he can promote the reputation of our corporation, reputation of our association, or reputation of our judiciary. This was the question number one. The second was the second question was, what do you think is the relationship between the associations and the civil society? I mean, do they have open dialogue? And do they have open dialogue also with the bar? Do they have an open dialogue with the bar and with the civil society? Because right now here in Georgia, the judiciary has locked itself, and there's no dialogue. There's no more dialogue between the civil society and the judiciary. I mean, they don't come to our events, and they don't invite us to their events. Even today, I think we have invited. I mean, I should ask Keta, but I suppose that we invited judiciary, but they don't come. The other question, and the other specific point about Georgia is that the High Council of Justice of Georgia makes decision by 10 votes. There are 15 people in the High Council of Justice. There are 9 judges and 6 non-judges. And if they if they agree with each other, at least 10 people, if the 10 people can agree with each other, they can have a control package. So they can make any decision. So what may happen is that the judges, they can have a deal with the appointing power so that there is one more candidate who is loyal with the judges. So, if there is one candidate who is in agreement with the judicial quota, I mean, who is in agreement with the judges, then they can control the entire High Council of Justice. They can appoint anybody, they can dismiss anybody, they can promote anybody, and so on and so on. So there is a possibility of let's say a trading inside the High Council of Justice, and if 10 people they get together, they can just do anything they want. Therefore, in Georgia, their civil society, they wanted to have some additional mechanisms. They wanted to have double two-thirds majority, like double two-thirds between judicial members and non-judicial members, but it did not work. I mean,
interrupting you, Gacha, is to the agenda. We have to finish in 10.
Sure. Yes. Yeah,
minutes. That's why, just to keep our agenda and not to
Yes, of course. I'm just finishing. So the question, that's what the question was. And so based on the situation, I mean, do you have what would you recommend for a Georgian case? What would you recommend? What would you recommend as a solution for a Georgian case?
For
Thank
instance, in Italy, the number of the members of the High Judicial Council there are 30, and 2/3. Now I was checking, is a big majority. And do you get me?
Yes.
So the majority of members comes from the judiciary. Okay. But this doesn't exclude this problem of trading. And actually there is trading. There is trading. Okay. So the fact that the majority of the member comes from the judiciary doesn't exclude that there are.
Let me ask you, the public. What about the public members? You have lay members in the High Judicial Council also. Or are they? Yes. I mean, yes. What are they in practice? Are they like independent, or are they are they always in agreement with the judges?
No. I mean, as Maurizio was saying, they are appointed by political parties, okay, or better to say by the parliament, okay, and of course they respond more to the political parties, okay, but so if for instance there is a competition in order to appoint the chief prosecutor in Rome, okay, and the chief and a very good prosecutor, maybe a political party doesn't like a candidate, of course the members of the High Judicial Council who were appointed by this party, they are going to, I mean, comply with the opinion of the political party. Okay. And then I'm done. I just wanted to answer the colleague. I don't know whether he's a colleague or not, but the person who was speaking from Moldova.
Yes, Vladislav.
In my opinion, what is crucial is the assessment of the performance of judges and prosecutors. If there is a system which is the most objective system possible, you are going to have good judges and prosecutors in high positions, and you are going to have judges and prosecutors who are not going to they don't have to pay any debt to other people. And in my opinion, the best way to assess the performance of a judge is to create a combined system where you take in consideration seniority and, on the other hand, the specific professional experience. I don't know whether I made myself clear, but this is what I wanted to say.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It was clear, but it was not about promotion. You said assessment, professional assessment, performance assessment.
Yes, in order to get a position.
Okay, because in the previous system, it was a sort of scrutiny if you were suitable. So only if you were found not suitable, then you would be stopped. Yes, but the pre-assumption was that you were suitable.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
If you allow me, I want to go through these questions starting from the last. Control of the High Judicial Council, trading is always possible, and in our system, it's not necessary to find a package that can block the High Judicial Council because alliances can change, because there are commissions as well. The commission to propose someone for a managerial position and another for disciplinary issues, and the groups might be mixed. So you have to it's dynamic, this trading. First, dialogue with civil society and the bar. In my opinion, Gianfranco is here to correct me if I am not right. There is no dialogue at all. There is not even any attempt. Before it was better, now I don't see any dialogue with the civil society where judges go and get criticized and answer and so on.
Just one, in Georgia, there is a dialogue. They have a bench bar, which was recently created. It's a dialogue between the prosecutors, lawyers, and judges, but there's no civil society.
Okay.
As far as I know, no, there's no civil society.
Yeah, okay. Public reputation, does the association care? In my opinion, my answer is absolutely not. They don't care if someone is appointed and there is someone else who has a much better reputation. This is not a problem at all. Defense mechanism to preserve a good environment. I don't see any possible mechanism. My interpretation is that this crisis of inside the judiciary is a reflection of the crisis of the political situation, the political environment, which started not at the beginning of 90s, but a bit before. It would be a bit long to explain. I have my opinion because they create a mechanism to deprive the political power from taking any decision regarding expenditures. So if you have a political power, what is the main tool of a political power? To spend money. Where to allot money? To spend money, the budget. But if I don't have money, I don't have this possibility to spend money to improve, for example, the judiciary, to improve the healthcare system, to improve the school system. If I don't have this money because the decisions come from somewhere else, then what is left to me? Just a fight among groups to seize as much power as possible. I cannot develop any strategy for the country. Okay, I don't want to elaborate more because this would take us out of the topic. So the UK, what to do? Moldova, what to do? Vladislav, huh? What to do? About 25 years ago, I was still working in the judiciary, and I always said, listen, the work we do at the High Judicial Council is not for ourselves. It's a service for the other judges, for the in-service judges. So I don't think it's a good idea to promote ourselves, to campaign for the election. I think it would be much better in this spirit of service to create a group of judges or magistrates based on seniority, on suitability, that are suitable for the High Judicial Council, and then we just ballot them. So we pick up them randomly. When you are appointed because the ballot chose you, you don't have to thank anybody. You are in a position that you don't care. You are independent. So
balloting what positions, Maurizio? What positions?
In the High Judicial Council.
Ah, I see. Okay.
In the High Judicial Council. And they would laugh at me, but now they started speaking about this. Oh, no. Some corrections, but now the discussion is there, because I told them with this system, we are going to have big scandals. And it happened. The UK, well, the UK, if I understood it correctly, because the line was a bit disturbed, I don't think we can compare the experience of the UK, because there is not such competition. I mean, there is a competition, but mainly judges of the House of Lords, they are appointed by the Queen, right? Or the King now.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay, how does it work?
No. It works that there is this Chief Justice of the English and Wales, Chief Justice of Scotland, Chief Justice of Ireland, someone from the Attorney General, and I think one more person. So they advertise the positions openly, they set the criteria, and then they five decide who will be the ones to take the post in the Supreme Court. Okay. And it's usually very, very trusted.
Yes.
How is it possible that is working?
No, but the system, yeah, I understood. But still, there is a difference, because they are all barristers, right? These candidates. They have to the bar with a high reputation, long experience, and so on and so forth. So they go there only for kind of prestige, because they would make more money working as barristers, I guess, if they are very good. I mean, those that can apply. And apart from that, there is an overall fairness in the system. The reputation is very important. So it's completely different. And these are not so many positions, I guess. It's limited number. So competitors are not so high. And
sorry, we have to go to the resuming. So Maurizio, what would you recommend for Georgia?
To Georgia, I don't want to tell you that your case is a desperate one. I don't want to tell you that, but I don't think you are going to solve the problem through protests, or even through violent protests or revolution. I would not recommend that, given the borders you have. I think my hope is that you manage to change formal rules, because everything starts from there, and people don't perceive the difference. Just introduce different rules. For example, all judges are appointed for life. This would be something. There is no probation period, but with a very low profile, without
little by little.
Yes, without making them feeling that they are in danger, that you want to change everything. Because when someone starts like this, then we end up with a Georgian dream conclusion or fate. So step by step, I hope in 20 years I won't see it. You will. the system will change. I think the first step should be to make formal changes.
Okay. So you don't recommend a vetting process, like vetting for corrupt judges or something, like what happened in Moldova, for example?
If you don't have a political will, forget about it. Genuinely.
Yes, of course.
In general, I don't like. I worked for international organization, for UN, for EU, for OSCE, even for USAID as a consultant. I don't believe in the external interventions. And I even don't like this idea that EU goes to a country and says, you want to become the member, then you do this, you do that, you do that. Index finger raised. And then when the country comes in, anything is allowed. Because the country, you don't give the country. First of all, who the hell are you to say that this is the right recipe for this country? Do you know this country? Very often we don't know the country. So we just use stereotypes and that's it. And second, this idea that you have to guide a country, let the country develop, because it's also a political struggle. Let them struggle. Then if you have standards and you want them, want to scrutinize them, if they are ready, this is the very bad word, ready. Who the hell are you to say if a country is ready or not? So this idea that we are better than others, let them develop. And then we say, okay, you are in line with our systems or not. That's it. It's up to you. But of course, what we do, there is a system behind this, because there are projects launched by EU delegations. And then we say, we gave 10 million euros to Georgia. An example, to Georgia. No, we gave 10 million euros to European companies who won the tender and hired European experts. And so the money came back. What is left to Georgia? The salary of a secretary, the salary of a driver, and maybe some arguable knowledge that we leave there because we are so good and we are so generous. I don't believe in this.
But the European Union may say, we don't want your corrupt judges in the European Union, so get rid of them or just wait for 10 years or for 20 years.
Okay. You can say that it's allowed because you want to join. So I say, sorry, you want to enter my house, you have a dripping umbrella, leave it outside. Okay, this is allowed. But sending our experts to vet them, well, what are you talking about? This is what I don't.
This is a very controversial issue. I think we need to summarize. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. I'm just going to say a couple of words as a summarizing part. I think that today's discussion was very interesting and productive because it made reflections, because we made reflections on many different points of judiciary and particularly about judicial corporatism. I think that judicial corporation has a legitimate ground to get together, to unite. But the problem is but the question is what the judges unite for. Do they unite for good purposes or do they unite for bad purposes? Okay, let's say, what they unite for? Do they unite to make judiciary more independent, to make it more efficient, to obtain more reputation with the public, to increase the public confidence? Or do they unite to protect themselves from any criminal prosecution for corruption, for disciplinary charges? Do they unite for themselves to increase benefits for themselves? Do they unite to promote their family interests inside judiciary? Do they unite to promote their promote their joint collective interest, which is not necessarily the interest of justice. So that's the question. So basically, by definition, judicial corporatism probably is not a negative word. It is probably it is everywhere in some form, but it may have negative consequences, and particularly in countries like Eastern European countries. There are countries like, as we know, Slovakia, Georgia, Moldova, Ukraine, Albania, Slovenia, and others where judicial corporatism became a serious problem. So basically, that's where we are. So thank you very much for today's discussions. And Keta, would you just say final words?
I just want to again thank our speakers and also our members of Judicial Reformers. I can see them today attending our discussion. Just thank you very much. And we have just begun this new series of discussions for this year. And I want to invite all of you to attend our next events, which will take part very soon. And thank you again, Maurizio. Thank you again, Gianfranco, and looking forward to see on our events. Thank you very much for this very interesting discussion for today.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye.
Bye.